they tapped our phone. You know, you can tell when your phone tag it, back in the day, you do a lot of clicking, make a little click noise. Mm-hmm. Click, 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 click. You know? So I used to be on the phone, I hear the shit. I used to talk to him. I used to be on the phone with girls and stuff. I used to be on the phone with girls and stuff, and I hear that little clicking noise. I just be like, hey, I ain't got no goddamn shoes. I don't know why y'all listening. You know, just shit like that with them. So my dad said, hey, they coming. Yeah, he coming. Because we still had boxes in the house. Even though we sold most of them, you know, but we still had empty boxes, and we had like a shed in the back of the house. There were boxes all in there. So my dad said, hey, they coming. They coming. Y'all get this shit out of here. So me and my mom, we got all the boxes, broke them down. We took them down the road to an apartment complex and threw them in their dumpster. So here you go in my mind.
And the FBI pulled them out. 45 minutes later, the FBI pulled them all out. They had pictures of you putting them in there.
Ain't it though, for real? You know what? I'm thinking I outsmarted the law. I looked through that peephole. All I saw was narcotics going across the front. I said, oh, God damn. Mind you, we're in the upstairs apartment. So I tiptoe. So I'm tiptoeing to the back. Like, oh, shit. Because I don't want them to hear me just running, you know. So I tiptoed my way to the back. Now I done grabbed all these guns, the drugs. I'm throwing stuff all in my drawers. And on the couch we had the kind where, you know, you hit the thing and it lets your legs up. Mm-hmm. So I took all the pistols and I shoved them up under there and closed it up. I had an AK-47 in the closet, what I just bought maybe a week ago from Lou. So, you know, I'm scared it's a bite on it, you know. So they come bust on in. They find the gun, the AK. They didn't find all the other stuff I hid. So they running the gun now. I'm just sitting there just listening and waiting like, please don't say this gun got a body. Please, Lord, please, because who I got it from, ooh, it might be one on there. I even did homework since sixth grade because the teachers passed me because of who I was. I just sit in class and talk shit. I didn't give a damn. As long as they give me at least a C, you know, I'm good.
But the coach is thinking you may be going to play ball at a university, and regardless, they're going to want you to, you know, have decent scores.
Yeah, but I didn't know.
Right.
You know, I didn't know that. I'm just thinking that I'm so good, my talent going to get me to where I need to go. Not thinking it. Mm-hmm. So as time go, I'm taking the ACT test. The recruits started coming. They call and tell me they're going to buy me this and buy me that. And, you know, I'm like, okay, now I'm feeling myself. I'm feeling myself bad. So as I'm getting heavily recruited, my coach started trying to talk to me and tell me like, hey, man, you need to get your grades right. Because didn't nobody tell me about you got to have good grades and taking the ACT. I didn't know none of that. I never did homework.
I got 30 racks underneath my son's bassinet, 30 racks in cereal boxes.
Right.
I got $50,000 in a Monopoly box in plain sight, just on a shelf with board games.
Right.
To top it off, I got 100 pounds in the house, and, you know, it's Texas, baby, but I did have a lot of guns. And I told my son's mother, I was like, hey, we gotta move. You know, she was like, why? And I was like, man, just there's too much money here. I got guns here, even though they're legal. Even though I didn't know anything about the justice system, I know that guns, drugs, money, bad.
Yeah.
You know what I'm saying?
Yeah, it's a bad combination.
Hell yeah. We got to change it up. Let's move to California. She's like, okay, well, I'm down. I go to my dad. I tell him, hey, Pops, I want to open a dispensary in LA. I want you to come with me. He's like, cool. If you get it set up, I'll go. I fly out to LA and I meet with like a weed attorney, right? And I sit down and he gives me all the laws. At this time, it was a medical dispensary. And so he tells me all the laws and everything and how to get the permits and how to set stuff up. And so I'm like, look, bro, how much do you want for this just to be like a turnkey operation?
Right.
You know, I'll just give you the cash. You do all that. I don't have to file stuff with the state. And he only wanted like $8,000. Now to open a dispensary in Cali, you're looking at $1 million plus because of how expensive the permits are. So meanwhile, I go back to LA and like, you know, I'm feeling myself. You know, I got money, the music, it's going great, the jewelry going great. They didn't know that I was just really just making a majority of my money off weed.
I'd rather deal with criminals than people in Hollywood. They'll never tell you no. They lie to your face. And what they do is this. First, they have a meeting with you, go, oh my God, this is amazing. I'm going to talk to my team next week. 2 weeks later, you get the email back or the phone or the text message that says, they love it. We're going to talk to Jan at Netflix. We're good friends, Jan and I. She runs the doc department there. Okay. 2 weeks after that, maybe a month later, you send them a text. Hey, whatever happened? I didn't hear back from you. Sorry. She loves it. Very interested. She's going to talk to Bill. A week later, Bill's on vacation. He gets back at the end of whatever. Okay. Then you hear that he said he likes it. They're going to get together. They're going to talk at their monthly meeting. Okay. We're now 4 months in, by the way, 3 to 4 months in. Then it becomes Matt. Unfortunately, they do love it. They're super interested. We're going to have a meeting next week. You have that meeting. Then they go, unfortunately, Matt, nothing is getting done over the holidays. The holidays for Hollywood is from basically the beginning of November until the end of January. Like there's 3 months that apparently nobody works, and they'll tell you this with a straight face. And then at the end of those months, you either never hear from them again, or you get another phone call where these people said no, but they're starting the process over with Discovery Channel. As they go through, those companies start saying no, 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 no. It gets down to FX, lower and lower and lower, to the point where it's like, they're trying to do a 1 hour documentary for the people that want $30,000. And really that's just to line their pockets with 40 grand and spend 2 months to try and throw something together. Because all they have to do is throw some piece of garbage together. They put it up there and maybe you get paid back the 60, which probably not. You might make $5,000 or $10,000 back at some point and the money's gone and that's it. My sister had lost her engagement ring. My mom says, oh, did you ever get a new ring? Did you get this check from State Farm to get your new ring? And she said, oh, no, I didn't tell you? Oh, Mom, this is what happened. She said, I lost the ring. I claimed it with State Farm. They sent me the check and we were going to go and look for new rings. And she said, goes to pick up her son. I want to say it was Jake, goes to pick him up from school one day and walks as he's getting in the car. He said, Mom, you got to park. My teacher wants to see you. And she goes like, oh boy.
Yeah.
Parks the car, walks in. She says, what's going on? Jake said you wanted to see me. And she said, we had a show and tell kind of thing, where we talk about what we're doing in the weekends and this and that. And Jake had said that you were supposed to go pick up another ring. You had lost your engagement ring a couple months ago, and you and your husband were going out, and that was something they were doing this weekend. And she said, yeah. And she said, what type of a cut was the ring? And she said, oh, it was a 2 carat or whatever, diamond, whatever the cut is, princess cut, whatever. Yeah. And she said, okay. She said, what kind of gold? And she said, oh no, it was white gold or whatever, platinum band, the whole thing. She goes, did it look like this? And she went, oh my God, that's my ring. Where did you find it? She said, I don't know how, but I walked to my car after school a couple months ago. It was I saw it on the ground. I picked it up. I realized I brought it home. It was real. My husband was like, that's real. Brought it back and it's been sitting in my desk. And she said, here's your ring. And I went, sweet. And you got the check from State Farm. Everybody in my family, keep in mind, there's my brother, 2 sisters, their spouses. I mean, there's like 12 people sitting around this huge table my mother had. They all look at me and they go, well, Matthew, she can't keep the check. She got the ring back. That's what the check was for, to get another ring. I go, right. I go, but State Farm
don't know that.
State Farm doesn't know that.
Right.
And I look at her and they went, well, that'd be dishonest. Are you people? Listen, my girlfriend looked at me at the time like she's looking at me too. Yeah, okay.
Yeah.
Oh yeah, I wasn't thinking. I'm like, okay,
yeah.
Clearly my reaction isn't correct. And as soon as that whole thing died down, I turned around, I said, is something wrong? She goes, I don't know what the up with your family. She said, I'd have taken that $15,000 and pocketed it and kept the ring. She's like, I don't know what they were thinking.
Would.
I escaped from jail. The door that they got to hit the button for, you go in, they're supposed to close. Then the other door opens so you can go out. So I'm trying to figure out how to pull this off. Ms. Huberry used to let me out of the cell basically to keep me calm. So she let me out of the cell and I'm cleaning. A guy come in. As soon as he came in, he was, I ain't going in no holding cell. I'm about to make bond. My people followed us up here. My people outside right now. And she told me, she said, step in the cell. Let me get him processed in. I'm going to let you back out. I heard her call his name. They went, opened the door. When he came out, he said, man, I told y'all I was making bond. The woman said, you want me to buzz him in? He said, yeah, go ahead and buzz him in. And I heard, I knew it was one door. And she buzzed them both. And I rose up. I thought I was tripping. And I looked out the door and I was kind of looking around. And they all turned and saw me because I get my shadow. It's dark. They seen me standing in the door. They all turned, waved, and he was talking crazy. And I was like, she buzzed both of them doors. I know I ain't tripping. And I just barely tapped the door. Boom. The door swung open. The door swing this way, so I got to come out, push the door, go, and then. So the door swing, the guy turned around. Like everything started moving in slow motion. Like he turned, they turned. His lips, he said, I was gone. I came through the door, boom, boom. By the time I came out the door and getting ready to go to the door outside, whoever his people was, she's like, oh my God. I pushed her out the way and took out running downhill. I started tumbling and I bounced up. And when I bounced up, I turned around and the officer who was sitting there and told him to buzz me in, he was standing at the top of the hill. He said the same thing every person who ever chased me said, Joe, don't do it. It's over, sir. Your job is gone. I turned around and ran across the street.
The Mexicans come to me and they're like, hey, listen, bro, you speak very good English. The consular in the unit said, can you go talk to him? I said, yeah, dude, what's the problem? He said, hey, look, he's a white piece of shit. I got it. Those are my kind. So I walk in and the guy has a Minnesota Vikings poster in his wall. Big guy, he's chewing tobacco, you know, and I walked in and I go, hey, how are you doing? He goes, you're Sanchez, right? You're the new guy. I said, yeah, you're a Vikings fan, eh? He goes, what do you know about that? I said, I don't know. You're from Minnesota? He goes, yeah. I said, where from? What do you know about Minnesota? I said, just tell me where you're from. He goes, I'm from Duluth. I said, bro, I know more about Duluth than you know. Come on, tell me something. I said, yeah, you go to this street, and there is a bar here, and there's a bar there, and I remember I used to go party here, party there. And he goes, how do you know that? I said, bro, I went to school in St. Cloud, Minnesota. He goes, you were in St. Cloud? I said, yeah, I was one of the two brown guys in St. Cloud, bro. It was me and another dude. He goes, man, I have to call somebody. So he calls the lieutenant, and he's from St. Cloud. And he's like, you went to St. Cloud? And I'm like, bro, we used to party at the red carpet, and we used to party at this place, and Howie's, and I was a fraternity guy. He's like, man, I used to go to the same places. And I said, and you are about the same age that I am? He goes, yeah. So you and I party probably at the same bars. He's like, yeah, we probably did. Man, from that point on, I was the Mexican hero. Then you develop hustles. So I was like, listen, man, there is some people here that want to switch cells. Do you mind if I tell you? Don't worry about it. You tell me who wants to switch cells. So then I will go back and say, listen, for $100, I can get you whatever bed you want.